Hello everyone! In this fashionably video, we will talk and analyze the newly released 5-star character of 3.1. Cyno, or Cyno, is also known as General Mahamatra. Aside from his horribly dry humor, he has a GPS kit to his name. Just like Eula and Hu Tao, Cyno scales of crit damage, giving him an additional crit damage bonus of 38.4 at level 90. He's an electro polearm who performs up to 4 strikes with his spear. As for his charge attack, you will find yourself with a similar animation as we have seen with other characters before. Moving on to his skill, Secret Rite Chasmic Soulfire. In an air dash, he deals electro damage to enemies on his path. While in his burst, activating the skill will result in more AoE electro damage and an extension of the duration of his ult. While the normal skill cooldown is 7.5 seconds, the skill used during his burst refreshes every 3 seconds instead. His burst, Secret Rite Wolf's Swiftness, puts him into a state called Pact's Worn Path Clearer. When in that state, his normal, charged and plunging attacks will be converted into electro damage. His elemental mastery and resistance to interruption will increase in making him immune to electro charge damage. The entire burst lasts a maximum of 18 seconds, while the initial duration is 10 seconds. The burst itself has a cooldown of 20 seconds and an energy cost of 80. The Gift of Silence is a passive that gives Cyno 25 more rewards when he is dispatched on an expedition in Sumeru. When Featherfall Judgment is unlocked, Cyno enters the Answer stance at intervals. When he enters Pact's Worn Path Clearer state triggered by his burst. Should Cyno activate his skill while in the Answer stance, the Judication effect will be triggered. This effect increases his skill damage by 35% and fires 3 Duststalker bolts that inflicts electro damage, 100% of Cyno's attack. Keep in mind that Duststalker bolts are considered a skill damage. With authority over the 9 bows, the following will have an increase in these damage values scaling off Cyno's elemental mastery. His normal attack damage, whenever he is in a Pact's Worn Path Clearer state, is increased by 150%. His Duststalker bolts damage will be increased by a whole 250%. If only the effectiveness of his jokes would have been increased by the same amount. On his first constellation, upon activating his burst, Cyno's normal attack speed is increased by 20% for 10 seconds. If the Judication effect from Featherfall Judgment is triggered by his skill, the duration of his effect will be refreshed. Just be sure to have Featherfall Judgment unlocked at that time. For his second constellation, whenever Cyno hits enemies with his normal attacks, his electro damage will have an increase of 10% for 4 seconds. This effect can be triggered once every 0.1 seconds. This can stack up to a maximum of 5. After unlocking the fourth constellation, whenever Cyno enters the Pact's Worn Path Clearer state activated by his burst, he triggers Electrocharged Superconduct, Overload, Quicken, Aggravate, Hyperbloom, or an Electro Swirl reaction, by which he restores 3 elemental energy for all nearby party members, though he himself does not benefit from this. This effect can occur up to a maximum of 5 times in one of his bursts. For his final constellation, after activating his burst or triggering the Judication effect from Featherfall Judgment, Cyno will obtain 4 stacks of the Day of the Jackal effect. Whenever he hits enemies with normal attacks, 1 stack of the Day of the Jackal will be consumed to fire Duststalker Bolt. The Day of the Jackal effect lasts for 8 seconds with a maximum of 8 stacks. This effect will be cancelled when Pact's Worn Path Clearer ends. Only 1 Duststalker Bolt can be fired this way every 0.4 seconds. Again, you need to make sure you have Featherfall Judgment unlocked. For his third constellation, his burst will be increased by 3 levels. On his fifth constellation, the same will happen for his skill as well. To build on his offensive passives and Electro Element, prioritize Elemental Mastery, Attack Percentage, and Crit Rate and Damage for his substats. For the main stats, try to get Elemental Mastery Sands, Electro Damage Goblet, and a Crit Circlet. Whether it is rate or damage depends entirely on the weapon you give him. With the stats you want to put on Cyno now looked over, we can move on to the artifact sets you will farm countless hours for. His best installed artifact set is the new Gilded Dream set, ideally 4 pieces. Alternatively, you can also use the 4-piece Thundering Fury set, which is essentially perfect for his burst, as it relies on his skill to increase its duration. And if the tree hasn't been generous to you, 2 pieces of each, being Gilded Dreams and Thundering Fury, is also acceptable, as we all know there is much room to improve. Now as to which weapon to hand him, the best weapon made for him is, of course, the Staff of Scarlet Sands, and I really hope those wishing for it were very lucky.
Okay.
Alternative 5-star weapons would be Staff of Homa and the Primordial Jade-Winged Spear. The best 4-star options for him are Deathmatch and Blackcliff Pole, and the best 3-star weapon for him, well, it's just White Tassel to be honest. As for his viable team options, you want to build around Electro reactions, such as Electro Charged, Quicken and Hyper Bloom. And if Barbara still comes home without being in one of the limited banners, you can honestly utilize her with Lisa and Dendro Traveler for a safe free-to-play team.
Hey yo, this free-to-play team is busted.
And that's pretty much it. Now please go enjoy your 1-star comedian, everyone. And I will see you soon.